This program deals with themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on the KTPF Community Talk Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for our new weekly radio shows. The KTPF Community Talk Show is supported by Phenomenon Magazine and Beyond Parazine, available online now.
The KTPF Community Talk Show is sponsored by Dragonos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including Fright Nights, all-night investigations and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
The comments and views expressed on the KTPF Community Talk Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the views of ourselves or of our sponsors.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
That started a bit quick, that did. I've still not got the hang of that. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the KTPF Community Talk Show, live from Manchester on www.ktpf.co.uk. My name's Suzanne, and
I'm Steve.
I'm Andy in Essex, not Manchester.
Yes, and we are here keeping the paranormal friendly as ever on a Sunday evening. We bring you a relaxed show with no pressure. Just sit down with your favourite beverage and listen while we talk about various topics, from cryptozoology to UFOs, and share information, advice, and most importantly, friendship. Remember, collaboration, not competition. This show incorporates a wide spectrum of this fascinating subject. So if you have any questions, then you can use the live interactive chat room or speaking or Skype in and speak directly to our guests by adding the KTPF.paranormal show. Later we will have the rundown of this month's events provided by our sister site at paranormaleventsforyou.com. So we've got a bit of a show for you tonight. 2 seconds.
Only a bit.
Only a bit, yeah. Tonight, our guest is Steve Mera. Unfortunately, Don Phillips couldn't be on with us tonight, but Steve's going to be talking about their new project, their new adventure, Project Phenomena, or Phenomena Project, whichever way it is. It's a new television documentary planned for release this year that will set the record straight, apparently, on the validity of the paranormal world that might exist along with our own. They say that no stone will remain unturned in this quest for answers. This is a fascinating alliance that could simply blow the lid off one of the best kept secrets in the scientific community. Will science disprove the unknown? Does our consciousness survive death? We will be asking all these questions and hopefully be getting an answer, because there is a, what do they call it, Andy? A DNA or something?
Yes, NDA.
NDA, non-disclosure thing that's been put on, that Don has signed, which is why he can't be with us. But Steve Mera hasn't as yet, so he's going to tell us as much as he can. So we're going to find out more. What actually gets two people from both ends of the spectrum together? Now, when I say both ends of the spectrum, we're talking about Don Phillips, who is a psychic, and Steve Mera, who is a skeptic. And apparently they say that disagreements, arguments, major clashes, out and out conflict and fireworks should happen, but apparently they're not going to be. So we're going to find out more about that. So hopefully we've got Steve Mera on the line. Steve, are you there?
I am.
Hey!
Yeah.
it worked.
Good evening, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine. You're a bit echoey, but apart from that, are you in a hole or something?
No, I'm not in a hole. No.
How are you anyway, Steve? It's nice to hear your voice again.
Thank you. I'm very well.
Good.
Very well.
If not here.
Fortunately not, no.
No, because you've been quite busy, haven't you, of late? So, apart from the pending stuff, is there anything else you've been doing?
Well, I've been doing the normal things, obviously. What I say is normal is doing a number of lectures around the country.
Yeah.
Still got quite a few to do over the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, moving on with 2 different versions of the magazine, the standard monthly magazine, and we're still working on our special, which is due to launch the end of spring. And, of course, all the other things we're promoting and sponsoring a few different events around the country this year.
Yeah.
From the Scottish UFO and Paranormal Scottish Conference, one in Filey, and a few others. And we're also doing the Probe Conference, which is the end of this month at St. Andrews. So it's been rather busy, and we've also done a number of radio presentations internationally.
So what's with this special that you're doing, this special magazine?
The special, it's a special magazine, and it's going to consist of probably about 110 or 20 pages. It's like a bumper issue, you could say.
Yeah.
With some very, very interesting articles in it. We're working on that currently, alongside we're still running the normal magazine, which runs every month, a free download from our website. So it's kind of a special that we're working on as well, just to see how our readers enjoy it.
Right, okay. And have you written a book on Blackpool Ghost?
Have I written a book on Blackpool Ghost?
Yes, because Manky Hypno Man says, "Hi Steve, just reading your book on Blackpool Ghost."
No comment on that one.
You sure we're not on about Steve Mercer? Perhaps he's getting his Steves mixed up. So you've been all right.
I have wrote a number of books.
How's Jackie?
She's very well, thank you.
Good. Right, so on to this new project of yours. Now, I've spoken to Don recently, just after the show started, via Facebook, and he apologised that he couldn't be here with us tonight, and that his hands are tied. But your tongue isn't tied at the moment, is it?
Not completely.
Not completely. So basically, first of all, I'd like to know what got you together. Have you known Don a while, or is it something you've thought of?
Okay. Well, I basically have to start right at the beginning on this one.
Yeah, I think you will.
Most people, I've been involved in the subject for 32 years. Most people will know that throughout the UK. Also, people will know me for being rather hard-hitting, and I have been called sceptical at times. I've been called worse than that, actually, all the times.
Yeah.
But, it's all about the evidence as far as I'm concerned. And I have squashed, I have to admit, quite a number of well-publicised cases on the paranormal, rationalised them. And of course, people don't like that very often. But the idea is, that there are true paranormal incidents taking place out there in the world, and we have to sort of be rigid. We have to be stringent in our proceedings of investigation and research, because at the end of the day, it's very, very difficult to find authentic paranormal phenomena amongst a surge of internet rubbish. And you'll have to agree with me, there's a lot of that nowadays. We don't know what we're to believe.
Yeah.
So disinformation is thrown in there, and I don't mean just by the general public. Purpose disinformation is put out throughout the internet as well by certain establishments, which I won't name, to lead us on a different path, to draw us away from popular research programs, which might lead to certain things that are currently suppressed. So most people will know that, when I get involved in investigations, it's not often I pair up with anybody in regards to paranormal investigation. So you can imagine my surprise when I got a telephone call out the blue one day from a gentleman known as Don Phillips.
Yeah.
Now, I have been aware of Don Phillips. Anybody who's been in the subject of the paranormal in the UK will certainly, or should have been aware of Don Phillips. He had a huge footprint over the internet, especially in regarding his videos that he puts out quite regularly, and had a very large following. Now, I first came across information on Don Phillips quite a number of years ago,
Mm.
I looked at his videos, and the first thing I did is I Googled him. Now, we're talking probably about maybe 6 years ago, and I was coming across bits and bobs where people were, as anybody, when anybody puts anything out and got a large footprint, there's always somebody out there who wants to criticise. And you know, I thought, okay, that's fair. You know, if you're going to do that, then you are open to criticism and people asking questions. And of course, you know, if people don't openly believe something, they tend to go on the attack, and that does happen quite regularly. You probably know that I don't get involved in any of that. I don't have the time to get involved in debates or over the internet. I believe, you know, if people have got fantastic claims, then they need to have some amazing evidence to back them up. You know, and I've always been, you know, I've always opted to try my best to get out to people who contacted me and said, I can do this, or this is happening, to prove it's so or not. And unfortunately, you know, there are only so many hours in a day.
Mm.
I also took on board some of Don's videos. Now, when I first looked at them, the first thing that entered my mind is that they're very well staged hoax videos. And I admit they're very, very entertaining and very interesting if you're into the subject of the paranormal.
Yeah.
And I didn't really give it that much thought. And simply the reason of that is because Don's material is up on YouTube. Now, YouTube has become the place to dump any old rubbish. And I don't take that in the wrong way for our listeners. I mean, people do put a lot of rubbish up on YouTube, and it is very, very difficult to work out. It's next to impossible, to be honest, to work out what you might be an authentic piece of video on phenomena and what might be manufactured. We can't take video evidence on the internet. We just simply can't, because there are so many methods now of hoaxing videos. You know, pieces of string and hair and even sort of fishing line has been used to manipulate objects on screen. There's also been software used to manipulate video to suggest that some paranormal phenomena taking place. And there are just so many things which can take place. And of course, it's next to impossible to sort of say, yeah, that's authentic. So for me, I take video footage and photographs very, very lightly when they're presented to me. So I was aware of his work. I looked at it. I thought, yes, okay, it's of interest. It's interesting, but that's about it. You know, could be hoaxed, could be fake, could be nothing different than all the other millions of videos that are out there which people claim they have going on. And I left it at that. Now, Don's name had popped up in my circles a few times, in parapsychology circles, and I've stated this openly over the internet and on Lad's television and radio, that I keep it no secret that I did occasionally laugh with others and mocked some of Don's work.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't openly state anything about his work, I kind of went along and grinned and laughed and said, well, you know, it's one of those things, you know. And of course, you end up doing that. And I was to be honest, a bit ashamed I did that. I shouldn't have really done that, because the biggest thing is about paranormal phenomena is not to judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
You can fall foul to that. And unfortunately, I have fallen foul to that. And I am a bit ashamed about that. It's never happened to me before. 32 years of studying in this field. And it happened to me, you know, about 3-4 months ago, and was a bit ashamed to admit that that's exactly what happened. But I say this only because there are lots of people probably out there doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's very easy to sort of look at somebody's work and say, yeah, that's got fake, and assume it to be immediately. Even the way they portray themselves, the way they look, the way they act, you know, sometimes that can also lead to your decision on something being conclusive evidence or something completely being a hoax. It's just like going to buy a car. The first thing you do is you look and see how good it looks.
Yeah, that's the trouble with the internet, isn't it? And software these days. You know, you're unsure of what you're looking at. That's the thing. Unless it happens in front of you.
That's it. So, you know, Don's work fell under everybody else, the same category everybody else has put theirs in, unfortunately. Just not of interest to that point of further study, because, you know, it was no different than anything else I'd seen prior. Now, I got a phone call out the blue, about 4 months ago, or 5 months ago, and it was Don Phillips. he telephoned me at home, and I was quite shocked to hear from somebody in the paranormal field ringing me, because not rarely does that ever happen. I mean, people don't approach me in regarding, if they want to prove something paranormal, they don't approach me. I'm not the guy they usually come and approach, because I'm pretty known to say it as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of damage, I have to admit, over the internet many times in regarding certain investigations. Even if you take into consideration the Stockbridge bypass case, which was believed to be an authentic case for over 30 years. And I completely put that to rest. And of course, a lot of people sort of, well, that's Steve Mera, if you get in touch with him, he's not going to believe you. And that isn't the case. A lot of people think that, but that's not the actual case. I'm looking for evidence, and if they support it, fine, I'll take it. I'll take them on that journey. I'll support it.
Yeah.
But other times, it's mostly that they run in the opposite direction. So you can imagine I don't get that phone call. But on this occasion, I did, which took me back a little bit. Now, Don asked me, would I be interested in participating with him on a particular investigation, which might lead to a project. And I said, well, what was it about? And he mentioned to me about an alleged haunted building. And he asked if my involvement. Now, I'll be honest with you, the first thing I turned around was pretty much no. That was my answer, really, because I said to him, look, Don, you don't want me. I mean, I'm a pleasant guy, I'll talk to anybody. And I said, look, let me give you some advice. I said, you don't want to have me, Don. I'm not the guy that you're going to need. Because you're going to introduce somebody on a paranormal investigation. If I find any hoaxing, if I find any rational explanations, it's not going to be kept between him and me. I will publicise it. I'll let him know that straight away. I know, and this is what I do. I will never get myself into a situation where I'm involved in a case and simply, if I find hoaxing and stuff, I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's part of that. That is part of the package deal with me. Because I don't believe, if I've been involved in something and I can't talk about it, if I find a hoax, that's just wrong. So I laid it out on the line and I said, look, you don't want me. I'm not the guy. If I find something hokey, if I find a rational explanation, I'll say it as it is. And not only would I say it as it is, but to be honest, Don, I said, my methods of discrediting him and his work would be substantiated by what I've found.
Yeah.
At that, I thought, and I've had a couple of phone calls like this before, and you say, okay, thanks for your time, and off we go, and I don't hear from them again. But it was the response that Don gave me, it kind of got me intrigued, and the response was, well, that's exactly what I want. This is what I want, Steve. This is the sort of thing I need.
Yeah.
And I kind of took me back a little bit, because I wasn't expecting that, as you can imagine. And I said, okay, if you're sure that's what you want, then fine, not a problem. I'll come on board as acting as under SCP, the Scientific Establishment of Parapsychology, and I will document it exactly. And whatever happens, Don, whatever happens. I still at that point in time thought, this guy, he's lost the plot because he's not obviously taking my word that I will discredit this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's easily done because for anybody who will see Don's work on videos, you kind of look at Don and think, oh well, this is obviously can't be real, it's fake, and and with the amount of stuff he's putting out there, a lot of people have thought, well, it's obviously just some guy who wants to gain some recognition and putting the videos out, which happens a lot. There's a lot of people out there who do that. It can become a little what you might refer to as a bit of a one-man band. Even though that Don did run GSI Paranormal at the time,
yeah,
and had a number of people involved. So once I'd said yes, okay, Don, I'll get involved, and it was about a couple of weeks away from my first involvement with him, I decided to do a little bit further research, and I found, to my surprise, that Don's following was significantly a lot more than I initially thought. He was actually followed quite a lot by a lot of people. And these people who had avidly watched Don's videos over a period of quite some time, over the years, had become more or less a certainty that Don was having paranormal experience or could experience these things, and we were recording them on video and audio. Not many questions were asked, and I thought, well, maybe this is because these people have been involved in this for a long time. So I thought, okay, so he's got a larger footprint than I initially thought. There's a lot of people that are that following his work, and I generally thought, well, this is going to be a big disappointment for him. I'm on my way driving down to meet with Don during this first investigation. The only thing that could go through my mind was, am I going to pull this guy's world apart? That's that. I mean, I'm not a cruel guy, and I don't like to hurt people. I don't like to damage them in any formal way. But at the same time, I've got to stick to my guns. You've got to remain objective and open-minded, and at the same time, to stick to your guns and say, look, if I find something, I'm going to end up ruining this guy, and that's a shame because, by all intents and purposes, he contacted me. Initially, our conversation was great. He seemed a nice enough guy on the phone. But then some people are, because some people do fall under this delusion that they actually do believe themselves that they're having these experiences. And sometimes it's not really their fault. They simply do believe it themselves. It's not like they're lying. They're just deluded.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe I'm dealing with this sort of person. Anyway, I met up with Don. My first impressions of Don was that he definitely, I felt that he wanted to, the frustration of wanting to be taken seriously. Because there's been numerous silly articles up on the internet over Don, and I've read through these as a third party, not getting involved, because I never do. And I've read through them from third party, from seeing both sides of the argument, you could say. And I understand why people might attack some of his work, because, it's very, very difficult to digest. Secondly, I also understand coming from Don's point of view how frustrated it is to try and get that credibility for his work. So I thought, well, this will be a fine opportunity for him, one way or another, if it turns out bad or turns out good. Either way, I'll say it as it is. So when I met Don, that was my first impressions. Also, the passion behind this guy. Now, this is a guy that, I've met a lot of people in the paranormal field over the country, throughout the whole country. There's not many I don't know, to be honest. And the long-time runners, should we say, these going on for a long, long time. I've never met anybody more passionate and dedicate more time to the paranormal field than Don Phillips. He actually lives this paranormal world, you could say. He actually lives for this. It's 24/7 for him. It's no surprise to find him up all night, working all night, going out across the country, I say, which costs hundreds of pounds in fuel.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make a penny. It all comes out of his pocket. And I have to admit, it's not like Don's wealthy. That's exactly not the score. He damages his own his methods of living through this purpose of doing this. He can't help it. This is a guy who's completely 100% absorbed in the field. And I take my hat off to him, because I don't know anybody out there, no matter what people say over the internet and what they put out there, I don't know anybody who's committed as much in this as Tommy. And the reasons why I'll certainly get to. Now, I can understand, our first meeting him and I met his wife.
Yeah.
Thinking, my God, oh my God, what have I let myself in for? I was actually regretting it at that point. I didn't want to be involved with him because I was so fearful of actually finding something hokey that I'd be upset myself, to be honest, because, they're generally nice people. And I thought, oh my God, what have I let myself in for? Please, Steve, don't, let there please be something, that I can just say, yes, there might be something or anything that might support this guy. And of course, Don was very blasé in his attitude. He came across as very matters of fact. Yes, these sort of things happen, and I can experience them. Now, just to put the record straight, even though that you might see lots and lots of information out there regarding our Phenomena Project or regarding Don Phillips, and articles, overseas articles, and all sorts of different things, they write things in a certain way because terminology is a great thing these days. Everybody likes to use terminology because they don't really know how to explain people, their experiences, phenomena, without dropping into the standardized terminology that we often find. Don's never once, ever, referred to himself as a medium, a psychic, spiritualist, okay? But, by all intents and purpose, you would want to certainly put Don in those brackets because that's the terminology. But because though that terminology got such bad representation, not just here in the UK, but all over the world, the word medium, the word psychic, to me it sends a bit of a shiver down the back every time I hear the damn thing.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, really, because it shouldn't be like that.
No.
People will have experiences. That's a certainty. As to the reasons behind that, that's a whole different case. But people will have experiences. And to drop them into a category which are ashamed to be called that simply because of other people's dealings in this world. And we know as ourselves, anybody in the field of the paranormal will realise very quickly how many charlatans are out there on daytime TV calling themselves mediums and psychics and that. I've never gone under any scientific accreditation, never approached a parapsychological department for test procedures, never had anything to suggest that, yes, they have performed tests and by statistical analysis with information to sustain the fact that, yes, something's going on. And these guys are on daytime TV. You can switch on every day in a week and see them, and live TV and even telephone calls. You can actually get a reading by email and all sorts of things. It's a fantastic world out there, but nevertheless, though, some people just don't want to be painted or tarnished with the same brush, which you can well imagine. So that's the reasons why Don's never claimed that.
Yeah.
At the same time, Don is simply just said it as it is. He explains it as best as he possibly can without using the terminology. So I went on this investigation with him. And this became what you might refer to as the Phenomena Project Episode 1. At that time, I wasn't aware that I was even going to be there that long. I thought, unfortunately, I'm going to be there for about an hour or two, at the most. And then I'm going to turn around to Don and say, look, Don, I found a couple of things I can find rational explanations for, and you know what? I just don't want to go no further because the further I go, the more I've got to say, and I don't want to break this guy.
No.
I just want to let him down now. At this point. And he said, look, Steve, let's see how we go. So I was expected there to be about an hour and a half, maybe. 10 hours later, 10 hours later, I'm still there. Now that's very, very unlikely for me. Now the reasons why, I'll tell you why the reasons why I was there 10 hours later is because I was absolutely perplexed. That's the best word I can put forward. Now, I've been involved in this field for 32 years. You can well imagine what I've seen. I've seen everything. There's nothing that I haven't seen. People claiming all sorts of different things. I've even had people come to my door and demand the secrets from the government. And I refuse to move and have to lie on my lawn and I have to get the police to move. I've had all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Now, it's a crazy world out there, unfortunately. But nevertheless, I was there 10 hours later and I was absolutely gobsmacked. I could not, for the hell of me, work out how this was happening. Now, what we're dealing with here is a gentleman who, by all intents and purposes, can do what he says. Now, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen to me. It certainly doesn't happen to people out there. You look to, there's countless people out there doing paranormal research in the world. And they're always talking about, this is an interesting place, and that's an interesting place, and we've got a photograph, and we've got this EVP. When you listen to EVP, most of them, I think Andy would agree with me, are very, very poor, and they have to be enhanced and manipulated to try and find some paradolic information in there to say, yeah, we could be supporting voices.
Yeah.
This isn't the case. This was just ridiculous. This was ridiculous. I ended up in a right storm. I really did not know how to. I've never been out of my depth ever until this moment in time because I didn't know what to say. And now I was experiencing vocals. Now, how I was going to explain this is that Don, by all intents and purposes, now we've been together for quite some time now on this project, and we've done countless tests. And don't believe me for 1 minute when I turn around and say this does not just involve SCP. This involves a lot of other officials, also a lot of other establishments out there, and people at the head of these departments, which we've talked to, and people in the know. And I haven't kept this to myself because I can't sit on something so so significant as something like this I've found. I mean, I've never come across it. In fact, I was ready to throw the towel in regarding us finding absolute 100% credible phenomena. I've been always in search of it. I've just come across something. Yeah, I've witnessed the odd thing now and again. I've been assaulted in a physical sense from a poltergeist disturbance in 1996. That set me straight, I have to admit. But those sort of experiences are very rare and don't experience them very often. But I knew there was something to it, and that was the main thing. I knew there was something going on out there, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I was never going to think I was ever going to find this amount of information in such a short length of time.
Yeah.
What happened next is that Don went on to demonstrate, and has demonstrated right to this day, that he is, in fact, a catalyst. Now, there aren't many people that you can refer to these people as catalysts. He is a catalyst. And the best way to describe a catalyst is somebody who's infused in this paranormal realm where he can have communication with another side at any time, at any location. Doesn't have to be haunted, doesn't have to be. These people got one foot on the other side. That's the only way I can describe this in a non-scientific manner. At a whim, he can record responses. Now, these responses aren't EVPs. These responses are just like you, sat there talking. These are AVPs, actual, they are audible, actual voice phenomena.
Really?
This is, I've never heard anything. Now, we're not talking transient signals creeping in here. We're not talking frequencies are being overlaid or interfering with the devices. Devices have been, gone under test, Faraday cages, shielded, underwater. The phenomena still consists. But these aren't just ramblings of voices. These are direct verbal responses to the questions you're asking. Even my own questions I'm asking. And believe me, when you've got an opportunity, guys, to obtain information from a source that might be authentic like that, which I believe it is, then 1,001 questions come to mind as to, oh my word, what can we ask?
Yeah.
What's their world like? You can imagine just for a second the significance of what I was dealing with at that time. Suddenly, a rush of 1,001 questions came into my head. I'm hearing a verbal response back to my questions. This verbal response is captured not only on Don's audible devices, which are new and supplied by Olympus, which is backing, which is our sponsors for Phenomena Project,
Yeah.
but my very own equipment. Now, this equipment has been formatted, it's been pre-checked and pre-tested. Even our own equipment has been used. And you know what? If it's in Don's hands, it will work. It will do it. If I do it, if I grab it, press record, it don't tend to work for me. It doesn't, Don's certainly got to be in a close proximity. He's got to be a catalyst for this phenomenon. I have no idea how this works. But it left me struggling, absolutely struggling. Now, the problem for this is that this is all on film. And I thought, oh my God, here's Steve Mera, known to be sort of going in and rationalising, and then he's caught on film, absolutely gobsmacked. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. So this is how Phenomena Project was born, because I've never come across something like this.
You mentioned other people. Sorry, you mentioned other people back then from parapsychology departments.
Yeah.
Any particular names?
I can mention the Scottish Society of Psychical Research.
Yeah.
One. I don't want to go through into too many different things because
no problem.
I'm limited to talk about who's involved in this. And
yeah.
Let's just say we've talked. I've even talked with Dr. Barry Taff on this matter. I assume you know Dr. Barry Taff.
I've heard of him, yeah.
A number of other specialists in this field of study around the world.
Okay. And
a number of people who have been highly involved in the investigation of this type of phenomena.
Okie dokie.
It's been a very busy few weeks talking with these guys and dealing with this. And I was suddenly brought into a bit of a circle, really, in regards to. I was a bit surprised, actually. It's as if, like, once you're actually privy to this information and you stumble in it, and you become into an inner ring of information. This inner ring of information is in regards to the suppression of this phenomena. Now, this suppression is nothing like you dream of. I mean, the title of Phenomena Project is, you'll see it. It says, blowing the lid off the best kept secret in scientific establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is by no doubt that is not a lie. That is exactly as it is. And it's quite shocking, it's quite startling to realise how much suppression is going on about certain aspects of the paranormal field. To the point where SPR themselves, back in 2000, stipulated, I think it was Professor Guinness mentioned, said that SPR had almost given up any research in regarding spiritual communication, that sort of thing. They'd give it up. They were going off in a different direction. Nobody was looking at it. And that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly where I'm going. This has been purposely taken away from our thoughts, our minds, the ideas of investigation, experimental research. It's not helped. It's not funded. It's purposely suppressed. People have got lots of interesting information out there, but the limitation is unbelievable. And even more effective methods of suppressing is undesirable discussion of survival evidence. I mean, that's what we call it, survival evidence. Consists in strict controls over the TV channels and radio channels.
Yeah.
You've got to know this, but it does happen. Most obvious of these policies are usually the leading journals in science, medicine, and scientific establishments, which certainly avoid material that might question the paradigms under which these, the majority of these things are being conducted, the research. And inquiries have taken place in regarding the social controls and the sanctions on this knowledge. But unfortunately, the empirical studies of these sort of things, such as the scientific journals and publications of these articles, the opposition of these, what you could refer to as non-traditional sciences, do remain covert and are suppressed, and they don't want them out in the field. Now, you can well imagine what you start to ask the questions, why? I mean, they're quite happy for people to sort of go on about hauntings and poltergeist phenomena and stuff, but what about spiritual communication? Why is that? That section alone is highly suppressed and covert in this manner. And it's right across the whole board, right across through known scientific establishments, right across the, from the television company, even radio presentations, and certainly scientific documents. It doesn't matter how many people put forward recommendations from readers, from authorities, scientific establishments, references. It doesn't matter. Despite all those, they don't get to print. You have to ask the question. Someone somewhere knows that something there's certainly something authentic about this, the siege of this paranormal phenomenon. So that's definitely, and I found this out quite shockingly over the last, say, couple of months. And I've been brought into certain circles where people will actually openly talk to me. People who are very well known in the field, people who are known to be very, very, skeptical about certain things. And I was actually blown away when these guys turned around and said, well, I do know about this, and I do know about that, and I've experienced this.
I've known you a few years now, Steve, and, you are very hard to convince.
Yeah,
so,
it takes a lot.
It says something hearing you saying this, as if you're...
He's a believer.
As if you're not sure where to go from here.
Well, I noticed Steve said a believer, and it's not about that, because it's very easy to trust your beliefs, and your beliefs can be inaccurate, your beliefs can be wrong, I don't think it's a matter of belief, it's a matter of the overwhelming evidence, and it's replicatable evidence.
Yeah.
This isn't just a pinch, this isn't just one test that's carried out. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Don has the capabilities. Now, when you look at him, you'd never think that. You think, oh my God, this guy's got nothing. But I was ashamed. I judged him by the way he acts and the way he looks.
Yeah.
This guy is the real deal. Absolutely, 100% real deal. Now, there must be other people out there like him. There's got to be other people out there, well, that certainly have some abilities that he has. Don is clairsentient. He can definitely pick up feelings of, you could say, a spirit present. He picks up on as he would describe, the energies involved in this. We put that to the test, and that's an absolute definite. He does. He can. He can also work out the differences between the feelings of these energies, which indicate to him which spirit is what. You know, there's one particular spirit that's been with him for quite some time. He refers to her as Becky, or Becca, or Becky. She, by all intents and purposes, is with him on a regular basis. And at any time, he can pretty much pick up a device, no matter what device that is, and press record for 10 seconds and get a verbal response back. Absolutely clear as if so. You know, I've even experienced, you know, he's asked the spirits to sing, and next minute we've got singing on it. He's asked children, you know, to communicate with children. He can hear them clearly as children playing and so on and so forth. And I had just no idea. I knew absolutely. It should certainly change my level. The bar has certainly been changed of my acceptance.
Yeah.
This phenomena, because I've witnessed it not just once, twice, but absolutely countless times now. And not once has he been ever anything that I can suggest anything hokey going on or manipulated. It's not a matter of throwing in voice. You know, it's not a matter of the equipment being diversely messed with or any way, because we've used our own equipment. You know, Don's gone under test procedures. He didn't even know who was going under them. We actually just pounced this on him, because the best way to conduct a parapsychological test, I'll give you a typical example, a hidden object test.
Yeah.
I was the only one privy to the information. There was 3 envelopes, smart A, B, and C. There were 3 pictures placed inside them, all different. They were marked up A, B, and C. As I said, you couldn't see inside the envelope. These items, these pictures were also wrapped up in a piece of paper prior to being placed in the envelope, to make sure that you could not see them. If you held them up at a strong light, you would not see what those images were. Don was asked, you know, he didn't know. I just pounced this on him, which is the best way to conduct a test, to be honest. To give him no chance of doing anything,
Yeah.
you know, or setting the stage, should we say. I just pounced it straight on him, and he looked at me and he said, well, I've not actually done this. Let's give it a try. You know, so I said, okay, I want you to pick one of those 3 envelopes. Now, Don could have picked any, A, B, or C. So he communicated with the spirits, and he was pressing record on a device, and he listened back to the responses. And he didn't know if it was actually going to work, because he said, I've not actually done this test before. Maybe you need to go in another room and show the guys, as he said to the spirit, show the guys the pictures that are in it prior to doing this. I mean, I won't know what they are. And I said, well, you know, let's do it now. They're all sealed up. So we didn't even know if this could work, to be honest. He had to pick one envelope from 3. He did. He picked envelope C. And over a period of 40 minutes for the whole test, eventually Don, over his recordings I heard the response back from the recording. I heard the name. Now, what I didn't know, I knew that what had happened was I had placed 3 pictures in 3 envelopes, and then later marked them up A, B, and C. So I'd even lost what was in A and B and C. They all got me. So as far as I'm concerned, I could only remember the 3 pictures. I didn't know which ones they were in. So when he picked C, I didn't know exactly what. I could only think, well, it's 1 of 3 images. That's the only thing I could think of. Now, when Don asked Becky what it was, the response came back as the word kite. I clearly heard it. I was not the only one there. This test was also conducted whilst other people, witnesses, were there. It was also video recorded live in one complete shot. We wanted to make sure that was all done very professionally. And the response came back kite. Now, even I heard that. Yeah. And somebody else actually heard it. They thought that. The results only came to light afterwards. But still at that moment in time, Don didn't come forward and say kite. He wanted to be sure. And he continued for another sort of 5 or 10 minutes until he realised, until one spirit apparently said, I think it was Becky, said, we've already done it, or we've already got it. And it's kind of, in other words, we've already said what it is.
Yeah.
So Don turned to me and said, well, okay, I'm going to go with this, Steve, what I've heard. I'm going to go with that with envelope C, and I'm going to say kite. So, of course, I was unaware, but I do remember one of those pictures was, in fact, a kite. And when I opened letter C, envelope C, there it was, a picture of the kite. So he was absolutely bang on from those responses. He wasn't aware of that test procedure. Now, all the test procedures, it's not just a matter of doing one test procedure. We've got replicatable test procedures. And we've done some already, and it's absolutely remarkable. Now, Don, by all intents and purposes, is a clairsentient. He can certainly pick up the feelings of the spirits. He also has a fantastic knowledge about what you might refer to as the paranormal dynamics of this.
Yeah.
Now, that's an option for him, because can you imagine if you had literally to be able to pick up a telephone, in a sense of speaking, and talk with spirits on the other side who could relay information to you about things that aren't currently known about the subject?
Mm-hmm.
Don's in a unique place.
Yeah.
He certainly is. And he's armed himself with all this information. And to be honest, sometimes the way he talks about the subject of the paranormal, I think to myself, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Has he been squatting? Has he been reading books on the subject? And it's simply that a lot of this information is coming from these other guys.
We've got a question from the chat room, Steve.
Yeah.
Don Gilchrist, not your Don. Have you had something that nobody else possibly really knows? He said, is all these things coming out lately the reason why James Randi has withdrawn his offer of $1 million for an evidence? So have you actually had something that only you have ever known, and he's come out with it, Could this be why Randy's backed off?
Okay, I'll answer that as straight as I possibly can. Okay. The answer to that is absolutely, most positively yes.
Yeah.
There is even to the point where, and I can't go into it too much, but the location of bodies buried, which have been found. There's a lot of information which has been put out secretly between certain people I don't know about this.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that Randy's he's taking back his claim. I understand the reasons behind that.
He hasn't taken it back. It's still standing. He's just retired himself.
He has retired himself, but under the circumstances, his test is flawed anyway. You couldn't.
Oh, it's impossible to win. It's absolutely impossible to win the way it's
impossible to win. So you wouldn't have anything to worry about, Randy, anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, he's definitely picked up information and relayed information nobody could have known about. He's even told me things I don't even know about, and have come to pass. I mean, if Don loses something, you can ask the guys, and sometimes they'll help him find it. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I've been thrown into a world which just doesn't sit well with me, as you can well imagine. But I have to say, it is what it is. Don is certainly a catalyst. I've never come across anybody like this.
Yeah.
In all these people I've seen, and I've seen thousands of people which claim to have abilities, and some of them do. I mean, look at Steve Johnson. He's absolutely 100% in regarding his precognitive abilities.
Yeah.
So, it's not a matter of top-down processing as initially thought, and it is something quite unique. It doesn't happen very often these cases.
No.
And for that purpose, many years ago, a number of scientific establishments came together and decided to write up a report, and it was known as 64. And they wrote 64 cases down, 64 reasons why phenomena cannot, underlined, exist. So basically, what we've decided to do as part of the Phenomena Project is that we're going to reopen something called Locker 64. Now, Locker 64 is about those cases that have been highly suppressed, purposely, to not have that information out because we're not ready for it, or, at the end of the day, it might lead people to believe that, if we don't have to fear fear death, then that changes life. And that's exactly the truth. That's actually the problem with this. If you do not fear death, it does affect life. And the implications behind that are massive, absolutely huge. The Vatican must know about this, but it's kept a lid on it, certainly. They're quite happy for us to tinker around in the field of the paranormal. But once we start getting serious, guys, in the subjects like this, and maybe some of the skull stuff, I'll say some of the skull stuff, people don't want that information out, and there's certainly an amount of secrecy applied to this. So I can categorically say Don he has that ability. Now, you can remove me from this, and people will find the rest of the same stuff. And this is kind of what's kind of happening now with the introduction of certain other people from certain establishments. But at the same time, I also knew that once this information gets out, it's not going to be long before Don gets recognised exactly for what he can do. He's amazing regarding that. I really don't know how this happens and how people can have these experiences. And that's exactly what's happened. He has been recognised. And because of that, solely that recognition, this is the reason why Don isn't appearing on the radio tonight with me for 1001 reasons. In regarding the latest venture, and of course, the Phenomena Project is still continuing. We're going into other areas now where certain tests haven't been carried out like this before. So we're kind of breaking the ground in some of these experiments which haven't been done. So just to find out, I mean, we've got a fantastic opportunity here, because if we're dealing with someone who's a catalyst, then we could be looking at different responses. Why should we get the same conclusive evidence all the time?
Sorry, why is Don not with us?
The reason why Don's not with us is because Don's involved in a number of things now, for which I cannot talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly sure that when those people will meet him face to face, they'll be quite shocked as to what his capabilities are. They'll just be as shocked as I was, to be honest. And I say good luck to Don on his venture, because he deserves it. He put his life into it, and I understand the frustrations behind it, because he's been immersed into this world since he was a young lad. I think about since 7 years of age. And there's a reason behind that, which I won't go into. But someone to deal with that in a world today where everything is looked upon very critically, and I understand that, and you need to be sometimes. So it's been an uphill struggle all the way for him. So I wish him all the best on his future, but he deserves it. And like I say, if anybody else, initially I said to anybody who's involved, who wanted to get involved with the project, along with yourself, that still stands.
So what you're saying is Phenomena Project has actually stopped?
No. Phenomena Project is still going strong.
Right, because I remember seeing on Examiner website about a new television document planned, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's still going.
Oh, yeah, that's all still going ahead, but it's more than what we naturally might think.
Right, okay. Don Gilchrist has followed on a question with, you've been studying this for 30 odd years and not found much. Do you feel that you've opened yourself up to it and now it's happening?
Well, yeah, and it's an interesting question. I was aware of paranormal phenomena. When I did my, of course, anybody in the field start off kind of interested in the subject of the paranormal. Then, if you want to take it seriously, you go and study psychology to begin with. I obtained the GCSE at a young age. And then I went on to do the pre-degree at South Trafford College, the degree level at Manchester Uni. And then I went on to do 2 different diplomas, 2 degrees in parapsychology, which this country doesn't recognise very well, unfortunately. And to be honest with you, it's definitely required to have that level of study regarding psychology, most definitely.
Yeah.
Because 99% of the time you can find rational explanations. It doesn't mean sometimes that there isn't always that fringe element where you could fall under that, and it could be something unusual. But the chances of you finding it is a rarity. The chances of you coming across it and it being replicatable, anyone can have a one-hit wonder. This is the given stance across parapsychological establishment.
Yeah.
Anyone can have a one-hit wonder. The idea is to have it replicatable, and this is what's so significant about them, because it is replicatable. It doesn't matter who you're with, where you are. He does seem to be somehow a catalyst for this phenomena. So it would appear, by all intents and purposes, you remove me, anybody else will experience exactly the same thing. And this is what's happened. People have experienced the same thing without me even being there. And this is why, when I quickly realised why he has so many followers, is because they've witnessed some of these people have actually been with him and experienced it as I've experienced it. And no wonder he has such a dedicated team of people behind him, is because they're convinced, just as I'm convinced, that he has this ability. So it is onwards and upwards, really. And the Phenomena Project, it's going it's actually it's steaming ahead forward.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk
opportunity
more about that in a moment. Going back to EVPs, TTGH said when you record and you hear voices on playback with EVP, but you cannot hear them in real time, how can you hear them on the recorder? Surely the frequency would be the same as it the same
Okay, guys.
as it just
All right.
complies.
This is going to blow your mind a bit, right?
Okay.
You are pressing for information here. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit. We can have under experimental controls 2 exact recorders supplied brand new from Olympus. Okay, the range on them from 19 hertz to 23,000 hertz. Okay, you can both have them recording for a set period of time. You will capture not EVP but an actual voice, AVP, response back on one of the devices and not the other, or vice versa, or on both. You know, and this is, it would seem that they can seem to interact with one device and not the other.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you've got to throw out the principles, the physics behind this as what we know. It isn't working like that. And to answer that question, what do you even do? Where do you start to begin when the voice comes straight out of thin air at you? And that's happened. And on more than one occasion, come absolutely straight out of thin air at you without the recording devices. And with recording devices on. You just can't fathom this, guys. I can't expect people out there to fully understand the situation of this unless you sat there and you witnessed it yourself. To me, when that happened, I felt a lead weight. Honest to God, I felt a lead weight in the stomach just drop.
Yeah.
It did turn my stomach. It did. I'll be honest with you. And it's not because of being scared. I'm not scared of anything. I never have been for many years. It's just a shock. It's just a shock to the system. It doesn't matter about being in one location. You can be at another location and something will come straight out of thin air. You can pick a location in some cases. It's just absolutely ridiculous. You know, it just cannot fit into the physics that we understand. You know, and I think what we've got to do is we've got to start looking at changing the methodology of what we do, how we do it. Because it doesn't fall under the same thing.
What do you say to people like Bill Chappie, who's now having doubts about digital recording EVPs?
Well, you know, it's always down to the equipment. It's always down to how good a piece of equipment is. Now, over the years, if you do enough research into in ITC, instrumental transcommunication, which led on to sort of using mobile devices and EVP, you'll find very quickly that there is no set rule. No. There has been a multitude of different equipment used, TVs, radios, different frequencies, low level, UHF, megacycles, even the high range. It is a multitude of, it's all down to, apparently, it's all down to the other side. It's all down to the guys. It's not a matter of us saying, okay, we're going to do this. It's down to the guys. It's down to the other side that they have to do it. They have to want to do it. They have to be able to not only be doing it, but want to do it as well. You have to cooperate. There's a cooperation going on here.
Yeah. Between
two sides and a communication. That communication can come through by many, many ways. And under the right environmental conditions, it can come straight out of thin air. This is why people sometimes might hear something just sporadic. I heard this, I heard that. These events do happen. And the reason is because they do, and I don't know how, the physics behind it, I have no idea. But certainly Don has some idea behind it because he converses with me. And he's not, I'll be honest with you, he's not told me everything. I've still got a lot to learn. Even after 32 years, I'm still learning, you know, but I can't look at it in a scientific, in a physics way, because it doesn't add up. You know, it defies the physics that we know, and I think what we've got to do is we've got to start emptying some of that glass and topping it up with other ideas and other theories and other investigation techniques to find out what exactly going on here. Someone somewhere knows something, because we wouldn't have such a suppression on this section of research. And there is, unfortunately. But it does need to get out there, and there's some incredible people out there which do need to get this information out. And I know a number of you which are moving heaven and hell to get this information out, because this is the biggest thing in the field of paranormal research, you know, this particular subject. And it's the best way forward, you know, and it's the most incredible evidence to support phenomena once and for all. It's literally, forget all your hauntings and sporadic photographs. This is it. This is the way forward.
Yeah. Don comes back and says one of the most interesting ones he's read about was the radio messages to the Queen Mary 40 years ago, and then picked up 40 years later. Surely, if one thing can do this, everything can.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, because radio signals bounce all around. They bounce around the ionosphere. I mean, we've got radio signals still out there, from Titanic sinking. The distress calls, they are bouncing around the ionosphere. They carry on for long periods of time. And sometimes, under certain conditions, you do get those faint things that come through and can get picked up. Yeah, that's for sure. We can get transit signals being picked up from many years ago. But we're not talking signals here. We're talking verbal responses. How do you get verbal responses to the questions you ask? How do you know what question you're going to ask for the start? And that puts that to rest. Now, there's either somebody somehow knows the question I'm going to ask, and that pops straight out of my head. So how does that work? We must be dealing with something very unusual.
Yeah. You mentioned suppression. What's the evidence of suppression?
Well, okay, it started a long time ago. I mean, Russia were dealing with quite a number of... They really got into heavy in regarding spiritual communication and PK and all sorts of things. Now, there was some tests carried out. They actually got so involved in this, they built specialised equipment to enhance possible spirit communication and PK abilities, because they believed that these elements could be utilised as maybe a weapon in the future of some sort,
Yeah.
And specialised equipment was manufactured for that. They were the leading experts in bio PK. Okay. The world was well left behind. The Russians were well ahead of us, light years ahead of us, actually. And what happened was that a number of people came forward, including a woman called Nina Vidura, who came out regarding PK abilities. She went under test procedures in Russia. And that information and the videos that we see now on YouTube, it's no black and white. You may have seen pictures and videos of it of black and white photographs and video of moving items in glass jars and bottles and things through PK. If you study the actual case, and I mean, be careful not to read disinformation about it, because there is some difference, but you've got to go to the core, you've got to go to the original information. That is only out because it got smuggled out by an American researcher who was involved in the case. He actually stole stuff to get it out into America because it was so heavily suppressed and secret at the time. Now, these sort of things have been going on for a very, very long time. Just as much as there is a remote viewing program by the military, you've got to question, why did they pound millions and millions of dollars into them if they don't exist? They know PSI warfare is capable, has capabilities, and that's why they fund it, and that's why it's kept secret. This is a thing that they really do want to keep a lid on, especially regarding spiritual communication, because you can glean knowledge. And it isn't as simple as just delving into something and getting the answers. You have to build up some type of cooperation with the other side, should we say. It's a cooperation of two parties that come together to get this information.
Right, okay. And back to your project, Phenomena Project. Which way is it? Phenomena Project?
It's Phenomena Project, or you can call it Project Phenomena, it doesn't really matter.
Right, so apparently it's going to be a new television documentary. Yeah.
Well,
planned to release this year, is that correct?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, we're hoping that, I mean, we're headstrong in going into the fourth episode now. There have been a number of people which have come along and witnessed firsthand, photographers and reporters have witnessed firsthand this phenomenon. And just, if you want to check out Mike Locklear's report in the Birmingham newspaper, I'm sure he'll have no problem explaining what he experienced. And he was absolutely, I've never seen a guy go white so quick, to be honest. It's quite funny. But I'd already digested some of this prior to him coming along. When we've had reporters, we've had photographers there, and of course it's gone a lot further than that now. It's big interest.
Yeah, and it's a 5-part afterlife documentary. Is that correct?
Well, initially it was, but it looks like. I mean, we are planning for the 5-part. That's for sure. but we are going. This isn't going to be the end of Phenomenon Project. We're delving into other areas and other research, and of course, a lot of more things have become available to us now because of the recognition, and the methodology behind test procedures and things like that. And we are delving into areas now which we're currently working on an episode. We're delving into a section which has not been utilised regarding paranormal or PK abilities, and that is very, very interesting. But yes, for sure, we are going to be a continuing thing over a period of time. But initially, we're going through the five episodes. Yeah.
Do you think science will disprove the unknown? Does our consciousness survive death?
Well, if you talk to leading quantum physicists now, some of them will actually say, even though that some of them don't want to get involved in it, because it's simply a bit of a taboo subject, but you've got some leading quantum physicists now have come forward and say there is consciousness after death in a different existence, like parallel universes, in a sense of speaking. I mean, I could go on for a long time explaining to what I found out about the possible other side or the other dimensions.
Do we know what channel it's going to be on, Steve?
Say that again, sorry?
Do we know what channel it's going to be on?
I don't know yet, because there's a number of people sort of really interested in this. So it's a bit of a free for all that's going on at the moment. But one thing's for sure, it'll be definitely going out. But it's a bit of a free fall. There's a bit of a bargy going on at the moment about
right.
it. So.
Is that why this NDA is all about?
No, that is something significantly different. It involves Don. It does involve. It's sprung from the Phenomenon Project.
Yeah.
And all the information getting out there.
Sounds like you're talking about the powers that be have put a hold on this.
Well, no, it's actually the opposite. Actually, it's actually people coming together and trying to get that right information out, and it's definitely needed. And to the point where it's going to get out in a big way and in a hard way, and it's coming soon, guys. And I know this as a certainty. And of course, people are going to be shocked as to how people will certainly get up the following day and go to work as they normally will. Like this is what humans do now. They kind of go, my God, that's incredible. And then half an hour later, it's back to normal life. But it's not a matter of a flash in a pan. This is not a flash in a pan. This is something which could significantly turn the whole research into the field of paranormal on its head. It simply could.
Okay. Well, when he's asking actual questions to spirits to get the answers, is he asking anything specific about where they are at the moment, or is he asking about stuff elsewhere? Because it sounds like if he can just ask any question and get an answer, we could be talking about
telekinesis.
No.
Brain's gone.
Fortune
telling.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, we could be talking about national stuff here.
Okay, yeah. Well, some of this information that Don gets, it comes from different sources. You've got to understand that it doesn't fall under normal physics. I mean, sometimes you can be conversing with somebody who's in a different country. It just doesn't make sense. By all intents and purposes, these spirits can travel around. They can go to where they want. It's as if we live in a paranormal world. It's not an easy thing to digest. It's not an easy thing to say.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I mean. He could be asking some spirit in another country about troop movements. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you can understand sensitivity behind it. We start getting into something we don't really want to get into.
Carry on, Steve.
Well, we go on KTPF to get a lot.
So it all ends up being national security, doesn't it?
We've got to be careful.
If you start going down that route,
there's a certain amount of care that's involved in this, and of course, everything's being done for a good reason. We're not trying to produce anything, covertly or something which might be detrimental to humankind whatsoever. This is about advancing it.
If Don goes missing, contact the Yanks because they probably got him.
But it all sounds fascinating stuff, especially if it can make you think twice.
Well, I don't expect people to listen to this show tonight and digest it, to be honest with you. I mean, it took me a long time to sort of digest it myself, and I witnessed it. So, you don't, it's not, you don't have to believe anything I'm saying tonight. The fact is that I've witnessed what I've witnessed. That's all I can say. I don't know. I haven't got the answers. Parapsychology tried to provide you with them.
It's the same with Steve Johnson, though, isn't it? You've witnessed what you've witnessed there.
I have. What's the chances of that?
You know what I mean? Steve Johnson's come along and spoke to you and basically said, I'll prove it. And he has done.
He has, yeah.
You know what I mean? So Don's basically come along and done the same thing.
He has. What's the chances of that? I mean, am I just lucky, gifted, or is it meant to be? I mean, a few people have suggested to me, and it's not just from Don, Steve, and many others.
Yeah.
I've been put on, I don't know, it sounds stupid, but I've been put on a path.
Yeah.
That I'm supposed, that these things happen for a reason, that they're guided by another intelligence. I don't know. I really don't know. The chances of me coming across two people which have blown me away with absolute loads of evidence is next to impossible, let alone slim.
Yeah. And saying what you just said there, you're starting to talk about stuff that you don't believe in.
Yes.
I know. You know me, guys. You know me before. You know what I'm like before I met Don.
I know.
And I think last time I met with you, Sue, you said to me, it's so strange to hear me talking in this. And it does, that's exactly what it does to you. It opens up your mind to the possibilities of something fantastic, But is it something that can be digested by the public? That's the question. It's okay for us guys. We're into the paranormal. What about those that aren't? How do they digest it?
Well, this is it.
It's quite phenomenal what Don is doing. It's quite phenomenal what Steve Johnson's doing. Together, I've never met a pair of individuals that just...
But a lot of people are interested to know what comes at the end of life. Look at Anthony Peake,
Yes, yeah. Well, Anthony Peake is definitely onto something.
You know what I mean? So, and this is another way of looking at it, isn't it? Does consciousness survive? Yeah.
What I can suggest, guys, is probably to do a little bit of research for yourself. There's a very good documentary out, which is called The Afterlife Investigations, which was done by a good friend called Tim Coleman.
Yeah.
I've been in discussions with Tim Coleman, and he's a wonderful guy. He's very knowledgeable about the subject of spirit communication. Have a look at his. It's up on YouTube. I'm sure you'll find Afterlife Investigations. It's quite phenomenal. These things have been going on for a long time. Edison. We know what Edison was. He invented light bulb. He allegedly was one of the early people to get involved in this field. Other people have stumbled in it. There was a German, I think he was German. He was a German guy who was interested in birdsong and was recording birdsong, and he ended up catching voices. He just fell into it accidentally one day. And of course, after researching it, he found out that he was some type of catalyst.
Yeah. Similar
to what Don is. But the thing is, Don is finely tuned. He's had this since he was probably 7 years of age, and to have that ability and not only finely tune it, the information that he holds in regarding not just spirit communication, but the dynamics and the paranormal mechanics behind it.
Yeah.
Such as simple, something as simple as how do you measure it? How do you measure the energies involved in it and things like that?
I mean, for all that's going on, TTGH has a point here. We still don't know who or what we're communicating with.
No, we will never know. It's like picking up a phone call to somebody. We don't really know.
Some people think it's aliens.
I don't want to get into that too much, but
but they do. Some people think that. I've had people say to me, "How do we know we're not talking to ghosts, but we're talking to higher beings?"
Yeah, I remember that used to be on our team. He's not well at the moment. He believes just that.
Yeah.
Well, what I can say is, without going into it too deeply, is that is something else that's also taking place. I can't go into that, guys. That's a bit too fringe stuff, but
yeah,
it would seem that consciousness isn't just divided between human spiritual existence. It also involves spirits that weren't ever human. It also involves things that probably aren't even human. It also involves things that might even not even come from here, guys. So there's lots of different things that do go on. This method of conscious communication there is definitely something to this. But it gets very confusing because how do you prove that thing? And of course, you have to take somebody. I mean, what I can say is that the amount of time and years and relationship that Don has got with some of these guys, you have to say the proof is in the pudding at the end of the day. Because by all intents and purposes, these guys are just full of love and want what's best. They want this information out. This is why Don's so successful.
Yeah.
They do it because they want what he wants. They want this information out. They want humanity to know. And they have worries just as we have worries about the planet and other things like humanity and the things that we do. And at the end of the day, this cooperation is a matter of, there's a certain amount of trust involved. Initially, I can understand it being a bit, oh God, where am I getting this information from? And it has been suggested. I mean, Brian Allen, you may know Brian Allen, who's our editor for Paranormal magazine. He's quite well known in the field of paranormal research. And I think he's wrote about 12 books on the subject. He had talked extensively with Don. In fact, Don is listed in Brian Allen's new book, Strange Eyes, Strange Skies, which has just come out. Fantastic book.
Yeah.
And it's a very easy read because it's all short, straight to the point thing, like Brian gets to. And he's mentioned about, he's talked extensively with Don and regarding his contact with Becky. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be, this is Brian Allen. He's a light little Scottish terrier. It takes hard to digest anything.
Well, this is it. Let me just tell you what's going on in the chat room at the moment. Don says, I'm a great believer in something going towards parallel things at the moment, but I think everything at the moment is money. It seems everything comes back to it. TTGH said, I was communicating with something on the ghost box, and he told me he was a medium and he was talking to the dead. Don comes back and says, but so far, after 40 years of looking at it, everybody who claims these cannot be right because they are all different. But if we go by them, they are all being told lies for a reason. This is, it's hard to concept.
Well, this is the problem. You've got a lot of people out there saying a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Now, if I'd met with these guys, I'd tell you straight if I was believing them to be authentic or not.
Yeah.
I can only tell you from what I've witnessed.
Precisely.
I've come across this one particular individual who does have that, absolutely does have that. He's a catalyst. It's phenomenal. And it's in his everyday life, right from morning till night. It's unbelievable. And it shaped his life and his family. And he's got a daughter, and he's just an average guy. And he's nothing special. It's just like Steve Johnson, just an average guy, And this is what happens sometimes. You have extraordinary abilities. It's phenomenal. As for all these other claims, I don't know. I really don't know what. People will always say different things.
Yeah.
I've heard so many things, a council of 9 and all sorts.
Steve was
At the end of the day, I don't know.
Steve was talking. I think Steve was talking to somebody about the brain. Either that or I was dreaming it. But it was saying about whether it was a dream or real life, how much of the brain is actually used. Could it be possible that the other part of the brain that isn't being used is making these come up, are on some sort of frequency with something?
Well, I mean, of course, lots of tests have been carried out. All right, I'm hearing myself. There we go.
Andy had to reload. He kept getting
That's okay.
cut off.
Go on.
Lots of tests have been carried out by different research departments throughout the whole world. Even Persinger, he's had his own stab at it regarding the God helmet. Like that. But at the end of the day, we really don't know. Science doesn't really know. There's nobody in science who can really tell you categorically.
No.
I've got such amount of brain when it doesn't seem to be utilised. What's interesting is that it's actually more active during sleep than it is whilst we're awake. So something goes on whilst we're asleep, guys, that, I don't know, it's different than when we're awake. And that is interesting. That is really interesting because during sleep, you think, well, we are suppressed under REM. We have input blockade, so we don't hear things. We have output blockade, so we don't smack people in the eye during the sleep, and things like that. And lots of suppression of our senses. So something is definitely going on whilst we're sleeping. We don't know. We have no idea. We can only theorise and summarise and different aspects of it as time goes on. There's lots and lots of interesting theories out there. But actually to say, yes, this is it, we just don't know. I mean, we're really, I think we're still in our infancy. Humanity is still in our infancy of learning in regarding ourselves and the world around us. And I think we've got some, eventually we're coming to a point where there's going to be an advancement. And that's only because of change.
Yeah.
Change has to take place, because we can't look at this in the same physics that we have been doing for many, many years.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. I mean, we're finding out now that, water has a memory, because it gives off an energy. I know that from working on specialised boards for NATO back in 26 years ago, when they were using water as memory cells on specialised computer boards by Bartholomew. And I probably broke the official secrets out by telling you that, but I don't care. At the end of the day, there is advancements in fields that we are unaware of. They're light years ahead of us in technology. And they're probably also light years ahead of us in regarding knowledge about certain aspects of the paranormal field, especially PSI warfare. But when you've got communication coming across from another existence, another side, then you can certainly put things to a test and start finding out and pushing the boundaries of spirit communication. What betters it? What suppresses it? What enhances it? And what can we achieve from this? That's the idea of the Iron Phenomena Project, to push it as much as we possibly can. And we'll keep pushing until we get bloody closed down, to tell you the truth. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen. But we're going to do it, and we'll battle any suppression as we possibly can.
I've been asked to ask you while you're on. Okay, can you ask? Don wants to know if I can ask you about the case in Portsmouth where the husband went upstairs and disappeared. He'd love to know.
Yeah. Sure. What you want to ask?
Probably wants to know where he disappeared to, what you found out,
what
happened.
Well, if I knew that, then the case would be closed.
He wants to know about it.
The case is left open, as far as I'm concerned. The last time I talked with the officer was about 4 years ago. He's got my details. He said, I'd be informed if there's any change. There hasn't been, as far as I'm concerned. After his disappearance, it was treated very suspicious at the beginning, because CID and crime units were involved. The family went literally under interrogation. Everything. I mean, they're very, very precise in what they do. They look into everything, even financial backgrounds, and they go back years. Any enemies, any problems, any occurrences, absolutely anything that might lead them to foul play. They even went into, literally closed down his office one day, went in just to question staff and boss and all sorts of things. All hell broke loose. Now, at the end of the day, if this guy disappeared, he hadn't turned up. Now, when they eventually ruled out the fact that they couldn't find any foul play and any reason behind the foul play, I was presented with documentation. This was 108 interviews. Can you imagine that? 108 people. I think it was around about 107, 108 people that were interviewed. And that's regarding neighbours, friends, work, family, you name it. People had even been in contact a year prior to that, just with a telephone call, all sorts of things. You won't believe the amount of effort goes involved to find if there's been a crime committed. When they go to town, they go to town. Now, I was presented with about 107, 108 interviews. It was painstaking to go through. Now, I was also presented a document. Now, it did head on that document a psychoanalysis assessment of these people. It was obviously not a psychoanalysis. It was something slightly different than that. The psychoanalysis, as Andy stated, it does take quite a long time to do that. But that was the heading. That was the heading on the paper. I just said it as it is, and that's what was presented to me.
They probably just mistyped it.
They probably did. But they were quite happy, under the and what they look for. I mean, these guys are good because these are like criminologists. Because it's like I told you this person who worked as a criminologist on this case, looking at some psychoanalytical procedures anyway, the stance, the attitude, the behaviours, the indicators that people are lying and stuff like that, which falls under that sort of heading. He was also involved in a case not too long ago about a guy who came on TV and he'd lost his daughter. They found her buried in a wall, if you remember. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was last year. But he came on TV and said, "Oh no, I don't know nothing about it," and this, that and the other. Turned out she was buried at his mother's house or something like that. And we found her. and he was responsible. The thing is, why they never closed that case on him is because the criminologist that came in was the same criminologist that was involved in the case. And he knew, he'd said straight after the interview to the police with this guy, he's done it. All we've got to do now is prove it. Because they know that sometimes there's no way you can defy your psychological reactions to certain questions, the way you act. And there are people out there trained in the field of study of knowing when people are upset, lying, not telling the truth, or being evasive, attitude, the stance, the behaviour, and all sorts of things, even the way they're sitting. You know, and he worked out straight away, he'd done it. That's what he said. The guy's done it. All we've got to do now is keep on it, because we'll find it. We'll find the evidence. We've got to keep at it. And they did, and they got him. You know, and simply they wouldn't let that go simply because on the backing of the criminologist's report. Now, it's that sort of same sort of thing took place on this case. The thing is that we don't know what happened. The only thing that I can say is that she struggled to keep the house. The family had to club together to pay for the mortgage. She wasn't working. She had a young child at the time. That child is what, 12 now, or something like that. She didn't want to lose the house simply because she's thought, oh, going to come back one day. And she's still there now, so as far as I'm aware. So I haven't heard anything. Last time I heard anything about this was about 4 years ago, and there would have been no change. So that's all I know, really.
Okay.
It's very unusual to be called in on a case like that. But he said I've dealt with disappearance, strange disappearances. Did some research.
It says that it fits in with a lot of David Paulide's missing people in the US.
Oh, yes,
These strange missing cases seem to back up a thin veil between the different levels.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there is. And there's also been some unusual appearances, believe it or not.
Yeah. Oh,
you
right.
do research and do some of them as well.
Mm.
So I don't really know. It's a bit out there, to be honest. It's not a case.
Yeah.
Even though I was involved in it.
So to go a bit further out there, could that account for the things like people turning up in Charlie Chaplin videos that shouldn't be there?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the Charlie Chaplin video many times, and I think it's more likely that we're looking at something that we believe in.
I heard you giggle there, Andy.
None of them are vaguely convincing, are they? Let's be honest.
People believe what they want to believe. Okay, she looks like she's holding a mobile device. She looks like she's talking. Okay,
Yeah.
Is she? Has she got a hand up to her ear for something and she's muttering something to herself? Maybe it's lines. Maybe it's something. Maybe it's a conversation she had. People do wander and talk sometimes, don't they? You know, at the end of the day, you know, just because it looks like that doesn't mean it is that. And that's the principle behind it. You know, and of course it goes tenfold over the internet, things like that.
The one thing I do want to mention is TTGH mentions that, you know, the ghost box. One of the questions he's always asked is, "Are you dead?" Which is funny enough because one of our team members always asks that question, and the majority of them come back and say no. Now, we're on the theory that some of these spirits don't even know they've died. What's your theory to that?
Well, my theory, first off, the theory regarding such ghost box things like that, I don't think they're credible enough to be utilised as evidence. These are purposely manufactured items which are purposely designed to generate certain workers under certain conditions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just too much of our involvement in trying to get something out of nothing. You see, something out of nothing principle, and it will not rub in any parapsychological department will not take that forward. The unfortunate thing is that if there ever was anything like that, it'd be scrutinised to hell. It would be biased and it would be never taken scientifically, unfortunately. Yeah. Even if it was something authentic came through just by chance. The thing is regarding spirits and what I know, and I'm no expert in this, you know, you're talking to the wrong guy on this one.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that some of these guys may not have ever been alive to begin with. So don't ever presume, or assume, should I say, that these guys are just, you know, spirits from people that have died. Don't always assume that, because in some cases it might not be, you know, and sometimes it might simply be, you know, you've got to consider the fact, and this is something that was told to me by somebody who I think very much about. I was told that, assume for a second that this is not our normal state. Assume for a second the spirit world is the normal state. And that, you know, and that we transition to being alive. You know, you never assume that this is the foreground, this is the baseline. It might not be. We might be already through a transition already.
Yeah.
You know, it's all down to perspective and how we think about this.
Well, this is it. It's like the Matrix again, isn't it? What you're actually seeing around you.
It is. And I mean, okay, David Icke is, you know, even though we do get along very well, and I thank him very much for the massive plug on my lectures recently, and he's okay, but you know, initially some of the stuff was very hard hitting, very hard to digest. Some of the things, though, have come to pass. Some of the things, which have certainly picked up people's ears nowadays in regarding some statements that David Icke said. And he might be right on some things, but at the end of the day, there's no good theorising. It's a matter of evidence at the end of the day. Everyone can theorise till the day we die.
Well, isn't it? So TJ said that maybe we're the ones that are dead and we don't know it. You never know. The way the government's
This is it, guys. It's so complicated, and it's a very complicated issue.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating. I mean, we are heading that direction. We cannot keep going the way we were going.
No.
Because paranormal phenomena is dying quickly. The research of it is strictly dying. It was, and it was even Professor Guinness admitted to that from the the SPR into the year 2000. He stated that live over a television interview that we're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
We've got to question why we're going in the wrong direction. The Victorians were on it. Okay, there was a lot of hokey stuff and strange stuff going on, and a lot of it was just absolute rubbish, but there were some principles behind it. Were there for a reason, and it'd been pushed aside, forgotten with, and people out there want us to focus on the everyday hauntings, and, you know, the odd thing kicking off now and again, because it doesn't get us anywhere. It's just another case. It's just another report. It's just another stone to the mountain we've already got. We need to go further. We need to advance into something new where we can get tangible evidence to support this once and for all.
Do you find, when you think about the greats, for want of a better word, that are in the paranormal world, you know, that have researched this and everything. We're talking about not just on the haunted side, on any kind of supernatural, you know, whatever. Do you find it's dying out and there's not enough youngsters picking up the reins to move it forward?
There isn't enough youngsters, but that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking.
They don't want people to stumble into things like I've stumbled into.
No.
You know, I mean, I've completely stumbled into it. If I hadn't received that phone call that day, I'd still be a different person. I'd still be that guy who sits there and says, I don't believe in this, and I don't believe in that. I'm not having, you know. And then at the end of the day, you know, they don't want people to stumble into a field where they just might have enough authority, enough funds, enough backing, enough people behind them to do something with it. And that's landed right in our laps. And of course, we're running with it. And of course, you know, at some point we might get some suppression come forward. They don't want young people involved in the subject. They transition young people in a certain way that to keep them happy on the PlayStation 4s, look.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is these days.
Yeah.
In music and computer games and TV films and things like that. They want them in a different way because, you know, this is why research is demising very quickly, because the guys are demising, the people that do it are demising. You know, and we do need to, it has to be injected. A new status of paranormal research has to be injected into this field. And it's coming fast. It is, because we are not just the only ones doing this. There are other people out there. I can say, though, for sure that we are the only ones that are doing it in this particular way.
We keep getting asked, who are they that you refer to?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you, unfortunately, but you know, you will find out. You mark my words. You remember this conversation, because it's coming, and you'll see it for yourself.
Right. Well, you're going to have to give us the heads up of when it's going to come on TV.
Oh, you'll know about it, Con. You'll know about it when it comes.
It's going to explode, is it?
It's a big thing, and luckily, you know, I'm on the inside a little bit now.
Yeah.
But it's strange being a bit one foot on the other side, really, because you get to hear things and find out things that you'd never thought would be going on, and people who are quite willing to put so much into these projects.
Yeah.
And I thank them so much from the deepest of my heart, because I realise now it is required. You know, I mean, okay, I will still continue to investigate people calling me out regarding certain investigations.
Yeah.
I'll still carry on doing the corporate company investigations because people find it hard to work in places where paranormal phenomena goes on. And I have a duty to help deal with those sort of issues in an official capacity. I'll still continue doing everything I'm doing. But at the end of the day, though, my stance in regarding paranormal phenomena has kind of taken a new turn. And it would have done for yourselves if you'd been involved and witnessed it yourself. You kind of think, blimey, it doesn't seem much when you're talking about somebody about a haunted house anymore. Not after something like that. You know what I mean? It puts everything into a completely different perspective. It really, really does. And it all came from that one phone call. So all I can say is, no matter what, you're certainly going to be seeing a lot more of Don Phillips in the future. More so than you think you're likely to. It's because the recognition behind him has certainly grown, and for good reasons too. For anybody that's involved in it, if anybody wants to get involved and witness it for themselves, that's always been on the cards. That's always been there for people.
Yeah.
Not for an option for them to witness it themselves. And I'm sure if Don was in the studio tonight with you, and he kind of got that buzz, that clairsentient feeling. He would have demonstrated for you. This is prior to him, obviously, having to keep his head low. And I certainly have to say, I have to agree that it's probably best for him to take this path that he's taking at this moment as well. But he would have been quite perplexing for you all to have witnessed that.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Steve. It's been great having you on again.
Thank you very much, and I'll certainly keep you posted as to Phenomena Project and our proceedings and how we go on.
Okay, and as I say, hope to see you again soon. Somewhere.
Yeah, and I just wanted to finish saying congratulations on your magazine, which is coming out soon.
Cheers.
It's great to see these publications coming out because there's very little of them. And it'll be good to sort of get something in our magazine about it, and we'll soon let people know about it. So well done, guys.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
And thank you to Andy as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate your support, Steve. Cheers.
All right. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Ta-ra. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Yep.
Well, that was Steve Mera. And as he said, always onwards and upwards with these support for us and Phenomena Magazine and everything. So very interesting information there for what he could tell us about this program that's coming on. Obviously, a lot of things that he couldn't say, but it's coming out sometime this year. He said so. Maybe all the answers or some of the answers will be given to us when we watch the show. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a short break while I do the paranormal events, and then we'll let you know what's coming up next week. Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Right, okay, well, don't forget Derek Akora. He's still doing his Psychic Ether tour, so if you want to check out his website. 21st of March, the UK Shadow Seekers are at the Barlow Institute in Bolton. Hauntedly good ghost hunts at the Inn, that's Jamaica Inn, where you can get some truly spirited events lined up in the coming months. Do you fancy a chilling access all areas tour of the Inn? With special overnight stays and ghost tour packages run monthly from the 21st and 22nd of March, you can visit their website for more ghostly details at www.jamaicainn.co.uk. 21st and 22nd of March, you've got the Bohemian Bohemian Bazaar. I don't know why I keep saying Bonanza. Bazaar, which opened its doors last week at the Grand Pavilion in Matlock, Bath, and they will be holding weekends throughout until October. We'll tell you more about them in due course. And you can find stuff from pagan Gothic wear, homemade crafts, tarot readings, all sorts there. 27th of March, you've got the Probe International Conference 2015 at Lytham St Anne's, Lancaster's in Lancashire, covering any subject including UFOs, crop circles, paranormal phenomena, and much, much more. Also on the 27th, the Pigs are at the Royal Hippodrome in Eastbourne. On the 28th of March, It's Paranormal are at Mill Street Barracks in St Helens. And also on the 28th of March, Trident Paranormal are at the Block, Burton-on-Trent. Tony Stockwell's still doing his tour throughout the UK. You can find details if you check out his website. And every Friday there's a mediumship night at Earth Angels in Lunsey Road, Basildon. For more details on these and other events, visit paranormaleventsforyou.com.
Paranormaleventsforyou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. Paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
Yeah, so that's what's coming up in the next few weeks. And we're going to tell you now what's happening next week, won't we, Andy?
Indeed, yes.
Yes, there's a lot happening next week. As you know, Andy Mercer will actually be here live in the hub. He's coming up for the weekend to join us at the Barlow Institute. Aren't you, Andy?
I am indeed, yes, I certainly am, because, of course, next week's show is something rather special, and I think I should let you tell people why.
Well, on the 22nd, we will be actually launching our new magazine, the KTPF magazine, which we've been painstakingly putting together. Andy's been editoring on it, and finally coming to the end of putting the bits and pieces together. And in the magazine, we'll be covering the paranormal, conspiracies, and other strange phenomena. And each month we will bring you the latest news from a variety of subjects, including contributions from reputed writers in their field, plus incorporating the forthcoming events as advertised on our sister site, paranormaleventsforyou.com. We're also looking for contributions from people within these subjects, i.e. showcasing groups and highlighting haunted venues. So if you're interested in contributing to the KTPF Paranormal magazine, or rather the KTPF magazine, then send your articles to publisher@ktpf.co.uk. But what are we talking about next week, Andy?
Well, of course, it is actually the 3rd anniversary of the KTPF show.
Yay!
Indeed. It's going to be turn the tables time. I'm going to interview you two all about the show, how it started, why it started, your favourite guests, the stranger guests we've had. I'm hoping to be able to line up a few clips as well from previous shows of some of our really good guests we've had, so we can play it back and have a little chat about what these people are saying. But yes, we're going to discuss all elements of the paranormal as always, but it's going to be our party day, so we can have some time.
And I must admit, it won't just be us. You may be interviewing us, but I'm sure there's people out there that'll have questions for us as well as yourself, Andy, seeing as you've not long been with us.
It's definitely everybody who's listening in. If you have any questions or anything for Sue, Steve, or myself, by all means, either just get in contact through the Facebook page or be there on the night and put your question up, because we're going to have a kind of an open show. We're going to talk about all sorts of things next week, so it should be. Yeah,
so we've got, just to give you an idea, we've got some articles coming up which have been from previous guests like Alison Winrider, and we've also got some articles coming up in the future from Richard Freeman on cryptozoology. So we'll be covering a wide spectrum of subjects, and also add in a few little bits and pieces ourselves.
Certainly we will be. Also including some partial transcriptions of some previous guests. Our first edition is going to include a write-up of the Larry Warren interview from a few weeks ago. And it means, of course, I've listened to it about 500 times now to transcribe it. But it's some amazing stuff to say, actually, that I didn't know about, particularly that photograph.
Yes, I believe you've got some photographs in there as well.
Yeah, so I managed to include the daytime shot he took of the A10 with the strange thing above it. I've done a bit of analysis myself on the photograph, and there's certainly something there that does look like the drawing that Larry made of the object he saw that night. So that's fascinating. Also, a write-up last week of my discussion on demonology. It's become a bit of a monster essay, I have to say. So splitting in two halves. The first one will be about the history of demonology, how it all came about, and the next one we'll talk about the psychological aspects of demonology in the next edition, because it's just so huge. But yeah, we've got some great stuff in there. As I said, Alison's given us some excellent piece. Richard's write-up on Nigel Neal's work, particularly, of course, Nigel Neal is best known for the Quatermass
You
experiment.
mean Richard Thomas?
Richard Thomas, I do
Yes.
apologise. Yes, he's best known for the Quatermass experiments, but of course he's also the man that gave us the whole stone tapes theory idea.
All right.
Neal, in the play he put on for the BBC. So that's quite an interesting article as well. And there's a few contributions from, of course, Steve and Sue as well. So lots of stuff to read and have a look forward to having a look at.
Okay, and if you're in the chat room, you can see that Steve Mera's posting away. He said, "Thanks, guys. Anyone needing further info, please feel free to get in touch with him at s_Mera@yahoo.com. I think that's an underscore. And if you want to grab your free book of Rendlesham Deliberate Deception, you can go to www.phenomenamagazine.co.uk and download it. And it's by Peter Robbins and Colin Andrews.
Yeah, and that comes down in 7 pieces.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a hefty piece of work.
Yes, and
it's a fascinating reading as well. I've read most of it already. I was so impressed.
And I know maybe I shouldn't say it, but it's all about keeping the paranormal friendly, whether the paranormal is cryptozoology or ufology. And I have noticed of late, since we've been doing certain interviews, that there has been a lot of backslanging as well against it. Now, I'm not saying it's due to our interviews, but it's obviously due to the gone back further than that. But it's a bit sad when people have a go at each other, I must admit. People being told that they can't go places and this, that and the other, which I think is wrong. Don't you think, Andy?
I'm sorry, you've actually lost me. What are you referring to?
There's a certain person that was hoping to go to a conference, but because there's another certain person there, they've been put on the exclusion list.
Oh, lovely. No, I didn't know about that. I must have.
Yes.
But this is a small world, guys. At the end of the day, I mean, most of us, we're involved in this. We should work together. So I want to work
well,
with you
this
guys.
is it.
Unfortunately, most of the average Joe public out there thinks we're all nutters. So, let's stay together as nutters, not start dividing between each other. Someone says this, someone says that. We should be big enough to accept we have different opinions on things, different ideas. We don't all have exactly the same belief systems. Steve and I last week discussing in great depth the idea of demonology and sort of what belief systems are tied in with that. We were really discussing it quite, animatedly.
Yes.
But that's to say we could fall out, so people should be able to have these opposing views and not get young with each other, basically.
So maybe people would say we don't know this history, but at the end of the day, we're all in the same subject. It's the way I look at it. They should work together.
Exactly.
So, in all respects, as I say, you're going to be talking about this next week. This is the main reason why I started the KTPF, because of paranormal groups at each other's throats. The stories I've heard in the beginning, is enough to make your hair curl. And you think to yourself, this is a paranormal, we're talking about. It's not, Russia versus USA.
Exactly. I mean, I sort of came to a conclusion myself a long time ago that we're never going to prove any of this stuff. Groups that start out saying they're going to prove the paranormal exists, etc., etc. But prove it to yourself. Find evidence that you're satisfied with, but also accept that no matter what you produce, the way the world works, the way the scientific establishment works, is you're never going to prove it convincingly to anybody beyond yourself.
Yes, this is it. I'm looking for myself.
Exactly.
If I prove to myself, then that's all that matters to me.
That's enough, isn't it?
That's all there is. Well, anyway, talking about that's enough. That is enough for now, because now it's time for. Andy's Mysteries and Conspiracy Files.
Indeed. Here's my first one, if I can just copy it and paste it on. Been an interesting week. A few bits and bobs have been going on, so I've put a few things together. At the moment, my live stream feed for the chat room keeps going to disconnected, so I have to wait for it to come back on again, which is rather irritating. I don't know why it's doing it. I've repeatedly refreshed the page, and yet it's still doing it. So let me just give this a try and see if this first one works. Yay! It should be there. And whoop. There we go, my first one. Strange UFO caught in film in St. Helens. Rather impressive bit of video footage. I mean, there's lots of footage turns up week in, week out. But this one seemed quite impressive, I thought. It's a rather odd object. which you might be able to see in the video footage. If not, scroll down a bit further. There is a photograph of it. This bizarre video footage appears to have captured an unidentified object speeding through the region's skies at night. George Hunter spotted unusual lights darting across the sky in his home in Rainsford. He was baffled by the object and was convinced it was not a commercial aircraft. Mr. Hunter said, "I went out Friday to see a friend. I got back home and was making a coffee." I'll have one, please. The time was just after midnight, and it was through the curtain window that I saw some very bright lights in a triangular formation. Bright lights in a triangular formation seems to be such a common shape for these things. It's quite intriguing. I went outside to the back garden and saw some very bright orange lights in a triangular pattern. No noise or movement. Quite high in the sky. Now, I thought, of course, you're saying orange lights in the sky. The first thing you think of is Chinese lanterns, but it was saying there's no movement. Now, those things move very easily in the wind, so interesting. And he goes on to say, "I filmed the lights and zoomed in on them, but only managed to get a short clip on my phone. And so the lights suddenly shot off whilst I was filming them, very fast, gone in less than a second. It was almost something out of Star Trek, moving at warp speed." Okay, fair enough. "I've never seen anything move that fast. I live roughly a mile from the town centre and have no idea what the lights were. I'm sure there's no ordinary aircraft, such as a plane or helicopter. It seems to move too fast and had no noise. Plus, I'm pretty sure the object was much bigger than some everyday aircraft."
Well, the video there's not got a problem with it, but looking at the close-up there,
Yes.
it looks like a drone.
Well, I was thinking the same, to be honest with you. It has that kind of cross formation, doesn't it? But
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't see the video, so I can't see how fast it moved and
it
stuff.
should be running. Try refreshing the pages. I had the same problem the first time round. But again, you can't tell anything in the video. There's nothing to reference its shape or size or position. But there appears to be other lights either nearby, or it's probably the reflection of the light, the main light in his camera. But the question of it being possibly a drone, yeah, certainly understandable. There's a cross body, and there's something hanging down from it. So whether someone's put something over the drone and then flown it, so it looks a bit strange. But again, the guy's saying that he thought it was large and close by and made no noise. So who knows? Interesting one there. Okay, here's number 2. Now, hopefully this is going to work, and not the instant I try and put it on the screen does it then completely disappear. That's how we go. So I keep getting this problem. It's done it again. This disconnect for some reason. I don't know why it's doing it. Okay. Yes, I agree, you, Chris. Don, sorry that it is hard to believe any video footage these days, but
it is. Most things are photoshopped. I agree with what Steve was saying actually, but you can't really believe anything that comes on the video on the internet these days. Unfortunately,
that does tend to be the case. But this one was a bit more, wasn't believable necessarily, but it certainly is quite interesting. Obama on UFOs. President tells Jimmy Kimmel, who's a TV host, obviously, "I can't reveal anything." Sounds intriguing. You can't, excuse me too fast, can't blame a guy for trying over and over again. On his show Thursday, late night talk show, host Jimmy Kimmel asked President Barack Obama to come clean about UFOs. The president responded with a series of tongue-in-cheek remarks, which can be seen in the video above, which you can watch later. Last year, Kimmel broached the subject with former President Bill Clinton. He posed the topic of supposed UFOs and aliens at Nevada top-secret Area 51 military base in exactly the same way to both presidents. During the short exchange, Obama fired back with more potentially provocative comments, saying things like, "The aliens won't let it happen." She'd reveal all their secrets. "And they exercise strict control over us," Obama said. "I can't reveal anything." I think Obama might have just been a bit tongue-in-cheek there. But there we go. When Kimmel pressed Obama, telling him how Clinton claimed to have looked into the government files of UFOs and found nothing, Obama replied, "Well, that's what we're instructed to say." Interesting. Conspiracy theorists must be loving this one. While conspiracy theorists might have a field day with those types of comments, it should be pointed out that throughout the short minute and a half, UFO Alien Area 51 relegated dialogue between... Sorry, this is badly written. UFO Alien Area 51 related dialogue between Kimmel and Obama, both were smiling and laughing. amongst almost the entire time. Sorry, guys, this is actually really quite badly written. If anyone's looking at this, the grammar seems to be a bit of a mess here. Anyway, given the impression that everything was said the president was strictly humorous. Fair enough. There have been other times during Obama's presidency where he made bold UFO-related statements, as seen in the following clip in March 2012, after he visited Roswell, New Mexico, the home of the legendary and still controversial UFO crash in 1947. Not going to read on any more of that. So, yeah, again, we have a president being asked about such things as UFOs and not taking it very seriously. I think it would be more headline news if they did take it seriously, don't you?
Steve?
No, yeah, I agree. It's that's what I'm moving around the computer at the moment.
Okay, well, here's the next one anyway. Let's have a look. And it is Chemtrails, one of my favourite nonsense subjects. The EPA confirms... my screen keeps moving too fast. Chemtrails conspiracy talk. The Environmental Protection Agency is reminding the public that the chemtrails conspiracy theory on aircraft emissions just isn't true. Conspiracy theorists say that government officials or others are using jets to spray harmful chemicals into the atmosphere. They cite the contrails left by jets as evidence of the chemtrails. The EPA has added a new notice on its website which links to a fact sheet explaining that the trails are left by jets in the atmosphere are only ice particles containing no harmful chemicals. Contrails are line-shaped clouds or condensation trails composed of ice particles that are visible behind the jet aircraft under certain atmospheric conditions. At times can persist, says a notice posted by the EPA site on Friday. EPA is not aware of any deliberate actions to release chemtrails or biological agents into the atmosphere. Theorists have posted that the chemtrails are meant to control the climate, to harm humans, or to kill them. The fact sheet from the EPA and other federal agencies like the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration were first published in the year 2000, when the chemtrail conspiracy became popular on the web. An EPA spokeswoman said the agency frequently receives questions about chemtrails. The information posted on Friday is nothing new, said the spokeswoman said, adding that the EPA posted this information to make it more readily available to the public. So there you go, official word, they do not exist. But then, would they tell us they did? Is my question. I was going to Southend a couple of weeks ago, I put it on my Facebook page, and it was a nice, quite sunny morning, say about 2 weeks ago, and the sky seemed to be absolutely full of these contrails all over the place. And I think anyone viewing that would start to wonder, are these things real? But no, I'm tend to
they're trying to kill us!
Yeah, exactly. I tend to take the word of the they are just ice crystals.
Well, I was told once that the reason we see them more, and they stay up more often nowadays is because when they went over to unleaded fuel, they had to put an additive in to make it work.
Yeah, so Don's passing something similar, but from what I understand, it's only certain atmospheric circumstances do you get them. You know, if it were the case that they were genuine and they were to do with additives or changes to the fuel, you see them no matter what the sky was like. But there are occasions where you look up, you can see a couple of jets going by, there's a short contrail behind, and it soon disappears. So, I don't know. They might say, well, they're not doing it with every single flight, but that's one of those things. I think if you want to believe it's happening, then it's hard to disprove.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on what altitude they're flying at.
Absolutely, I think so. It tends to be the higher aircraft you tend to get them with anyway. But here's a darker, much darker, much more
darker. I like darker.
Concerning conspiracy theory about none other than the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is in bed and has a bad...
Tell us he's an alien.
Watching the Crimea documentary. No, apparently he's been missing for at least 10 days now. Russian TV channel scotches rumours of a Kremlin coup, which report Mr. Putin is at the rural retreat recovering from flu. So a spokesman says the president will be watching the Crimea documentary airing tonight. This was, tonight. Funny enough, there we go. Anyway, media speculation has reached fever pitch over the weekend about the whereabouts of Russian President Vladimir Putin, now missing from the public eye for 10 days. With swirling theories of bloody Kremlin coups, secret bursts, or sudden deaths. But the reality on Sunday appears to be they might be more prosaic. Has Mr. Putin really just been in bed with a bad cold? opposition television station
A cold
does
for
have
10 days.
Say that again?
A cold or flu for 10 days.
Yes.
What a
well, I mean,
wimp.
the flu could be pretty bloody awful. I mean, there's
What
this
a wimp, if that's the case.
he's supposed to be some real hard nut, so yeah, he should be out after about 2 days.
I mean, come on. I've done an all-night investigation with the bloody flu.
Well, it's bad.
Only because I had to, because we didn't have enough people to cover it if I didn't. But
Yeah.
I've still done it, and he has to disappear for 10 days. Oh, I'm sick. Put me in a health farm.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously he must have been overthrown. But this goes on to say that and Mr. Putin was apparently doing exactly what everyone else was doing, bedridden with the virus. Pardon me. State-owned television channel Russia 24 was due to broadcast a documentary about the Kremlin annexation of the Crimea on Sunday evening, July. Dmitry Restov, Putin's spokesperson, refused to comment on the journalistic reports about Mr. Putin's alleged rural recuperation, but did say that he will be tuning into the show, according to Russian news agency Interfax. Apparently, Mr. Putin has not yet seen the final cut of the program, which reveals details of a special operation and featuring interviews with Mr. Putin and Defense Mission Minister Sergei Shoigu.
I kind of find that hard to believe, to be honest.
Well, the illness was the first explanation offered by Mr. Putin's absence last week. Unnamed Cossack officials were quoted as saying even earlier this week that the Russian leader had cancelled the trip to Kazakhstan because he was unwell. The news prompted the flurry of feverish speculations that other events were cancelled. Days went without public appearance to Mr. Putin. Now, very well, this is the Telegraph, important. It's not the Looney Tunes news. It's quite interesting. But they are going along with the line that he's just ill, because it goes on to say the Kremlin has denied that anything is amiss. Reports that Mr. Putin was in Switzerland to attend the birth of his child with his alleged mistress and girlfriend, have been denied. Mr. Peskov said he's repeatedly to his boss that he's in good health and simply holds the meeting in private. So, okay, there's a slightly different story going on there. It was just a private meeting. The assassination of opposition leader, of course, yeah, I forget about that. Yeah, Boris Nemtsov in central Moscow last month, which the Kremlin said was a provocation designed to undermine political stability, has fueled the climate of fear in Moscow, where rumours have flourished. Anyway, I'm not going to go and read the whole thing, so it's actually quite lengthy. But yeah, the suggestion is that there's some kind of conspiracy behind attempting to overthrow him, and that he's now hiding somewhere far away. Other reports have got a very definite claim that he's been overthrown by some Muslim-led coup from the Chechnya region. So, I mean, but that's a slightly less believable source, shall we say, so I didn't bother with that one. But yeah, so even the Guardian's getting on this case. Something strange going on.
A Muslim-led coup in the Kremlin.
Yes.
Highly unlikely. It's about as likely as Mr. Putin not seeing the final cut of the documentary.
Exactly, yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
I think you might have seen the documentary and agreed or disagreed whether you liked it or not. I think there's a very, very good chance of that.
Yeah, because I mean, let's face it, the way the guy runs the country, there's no way that he's going to let something go out like that.
Absolutely not. He's one step away from a dictatorship. I mean, he's become a complete oligarchy. He's given his mates running the country for 20 years plus, ever since Yeltsin passed the baton on, as it were. It's either Putin or Medvedev.
Having said that, if there was a coup, would they actually tell anybody?
Well, I don't know. I think they probably would.
Not until they actually had to.
Yeah. But if you think about what really happened with, not so much a coup, but the active attempt to overthrow Gorbachev just prior to the collapse of the Soviet Union, there was an active attempt to overthrow him, but that kind of fell apart fairly quickly. But those who participated in it made it very public very quickly that they had overthrown him, to the point that it was a bit too early to say it, and actually the Gorbachev's people took power back again. So I don't think they'd keep it quiet if they had overthrown him. It'd be much more public.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, if there had been an attempt and he was still in charge, they wouldn't actually say anything, because it's like everything else. And they would want the world to know that he was still in charge, because the moment they think it's all up in the air and he's not, there's going to be all hell breaking loose all over the place.
Absolutely. It's one of those
being one of them.
So that's the big problem for us. I mean, we've got this whole business about what's happening with the Crimea, and that's been annexed away from the Ukraine, and Ukraine obviously would like it back, but I don't know. It's all a bit. It's one of those things. It's very nasty. It's very sort of almost under our radar. We're worrying about silly things, and there's a possibility of Russia and Ukraine going to all-out war with each other that would affect the rest of the world. But you know how it works. We're going to. I mean, don't get me wrong. What ISIS do is dreadful, but this is far more of a serious threat to us, and yet it's hardly covered. Anyway, on a lighter note, here's my last one. As always, I found a nice clip on YouTube that will leave you wondering and aghast, except it's not up here for some unknown reason. There we go.
Is it your silly video?
Oh, yes, silly video of the week. See what you make of this. What on earth it is, I do not know. It's totally bizarre. Human hybrid creature walking through streets. 40-second video of... Can you see it?
Yeah.
God knows what. It's like what gets me is that everyone else is just walking around as if it's nothing, and he's also busy pushing a box along the ground for some unknown reason.
Right. Oh, okay. If you pause it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For a start, the person's wearing shorts.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks to me that it's basically a disabled gentleman.
I don't know, because the rear legs, they can't.
They are working really funny.
That is the only
Really
thing I
weird.
can think of is that it's someone walking backwards, like human crab. Their face, they're actually looking upwards, not downwards, and their hands, they're walking like crab style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think it actually is, but it does look bloody weird. So the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, that. The only thing that's slightly wrong with that theory is the feet on the rear legs appear to be facing the wrong direction. If it is someone walking, that's their knees and that's their feet. You see what I'm saying? The feet look on the wrong way around. The only other possibility I can think of is that it's just a bloody good bit of Photoshop work, a bit of cinematography cleverness. But very strange nonetheless.
I like a bit of cleverness, but...
Yeah. But again, if you look at the ground, the shadowing's not quite right for something that would be walking. The shadowing's too small. Suggesting, again, it's photoshopping. The only other thing that you might notice, if you look at the panel right next to the video footage, the top one you've got what looks like a hairy face, looks like Harry and the Hendersons, and about the fourth one down is a black and white image of real hybrid alien creature caught on tape. Can you see what I'm looking at?
Yeah.
It actually looks like the thing in the video. See the way the body shape is? It's very similar to what's actually in the video.
Mm.
So it's very intriguing. I mean, I suspect it's a silly video of the week, so I don't believe for a moment it's real, but I'm absolutely sure that it's Photoshop creation, video creation, because I say, you could say he's walking, is someone disabled or someone walking backwards on their hands, but the feet are the wrong way around. That's what makes that one so strange. There we go. That's my little collection of strangeness for the week.
Okay. That's him sorted.
No, I think it is actually somebody walking backwards, like you say.
I say it's just the feet is the problem at the bottom. Is they may well have just turned the feet round on the video.
Yeah, they might just put the shoes on the wrong way.
Well, no, because there's no T's coming out their direction.
No, well, I mean, but looking at it towards the end there, the feet are actually as you would expect them to be if somebody was walking backwards.
Mm.
No, I'm still not sure. It's just
because
odd.
it's like they haven't whoever's played with it, they haven't gone right to the end.
Yeah, I also wonder why the thing is kicking that box along, which appears to have no shadow in itself. And the fact that everybody else walking around is paying absolutely no attention whatsoever, suggesting it's someone walking on their hands, or it's video footage, video fiddled about with. But anyway, I thought it was interesting.
JW said it's a moonwalker.
Yeah.
AW's in the site, is he?
He's watching. I got him on chat.
Oh, right.
On FB chat, not. He's not on the. What's it? So he has been listening.
Oh, he's been sneaking up, isn't he, in the back door?
Yes, he's been out of the chat room and just listening to us.
Who's that then? I missed that. Sorry.
JW.
Oh, John. He's hiding. He's hiding, is he?
Yes.
And TTGH said surely the Russian vodka would stop if there was a Muslim overthrow.
Oh, absolutely. That would be the reason to stop them, definitely.
Yeah, they keep it to themselves.
So, well, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm actually looking forward to next week, actually.
I think it should be good. So, as you know, everyone knows we've got
we will be actually launching the the paranormal, the KTPF magazine on the show, and you can download it. I believe.
Absolutely. The link, I'll put it up on the chat room, but it'll also be on our Facebook page, and it'll be on with the. I'll get you to put it on with the.
It will be on the front
replays.
page of the page.
Yep.
Website.
I mean,
So,
if you do a link with the replays, you can go through and add it to all the old replays and links.
Yeah. Normally with these
comments
magazines, I just flick through and find the bits, but I think I'll actually read this one.
What did you say, Andy?
I say I have to go through the old replays on YouTube and add a link on each one of those to the magazine as well, so get it everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it should be a good night.
Absolutely. We'll have an investigation the previous night we can talk about as well.
And you can talk to us and ask us questions and about why we do this, and what do we think of this, that, and the other. And you can ask Andy questions, after he's interviewed us, about his background, can't we, Andy?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So.
What was his favourite bits? Because he may have not been co-presenting, but
he was listening.
He was in the chat room for most of them.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I never stopped typing, did I?
No, you wanted us not to stop the show as well.
I think he probably only missed the first couple.
Probably.
And that was it.
When did you say you actually found
us? I found you. I've probably told the story before, but I found you just after the Olympics, would you believe? This is quite a strange way of finding this show. Having enjoyed so much the Olympic coverage on our BBC, because we had like 20 channels showing, it was like, all came to an end. It was, that's a bit boring now. Nothing to do on a Sunday night that was interesting and different. And I honestly can't remember how I found you exactly. I ended up sort of phoning this little show. I like this. It's because fun. I've tuned in ever since. But to be honest with you, I can't remember how I found you.
When was the Olympics? Was it
2012.
All right. So you only missed a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly. You only started, about March, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was about March. It
was March.
It was March. Blimey. I wake up Sunday morning. Yeah, so I know you missed probably a few months worth to July.
So we've had some good people on, haven't we? We've had Derek Akora and Lionel Fanthorpe and Yuri Geller and
don't forget Maya Von Daniken.
That's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah. We've had quite a few people on, and I've surprised myself with the amount of people that I've managed to get on over the years. Even Ben Hansen from Paranormal Fact and Fate.
Oh, who's Ben Hansen? I've never heard the name before. Picture on the wall, guys. She's got a picture on the wall. She's got a poster.
That would be because she's saying it wrong.
Because
everybody in the chat room didn't say Hansen. They said handsome.
Well, I was being nice because that's who I am. His name's Ben Hansen, and unfortunately, I can't get him back on the show again because we changed it to a Sunday. So, and he does, because he's in America, he does church things on a Sunday.
Lord.
So that's unfortunate.
Well, here's a taster for next week's show. Do you remember the very first guest you ever had?
Yes, I can.
Who was that then?
Richard Freeman.
Oh, right. Okay. Crypto Man.
Yes.
Excellent. Yes.
I actually remember how it all started, and I can tell you all about that next week. It was quite sad, really, how it all started in a way, because not wishing to give too much away.
Stop. Right there.
There.
Yeah. People have to wait till next week. You have to tune in to find out about the story.
Yeah, you can find out exactly how it all started, which I never ever thought it would. So.
Well, Mr. Freeman's given us a couple of very good articles, one which I particularly like on dragon mythology, which we will look at in the magazine next edition. We've got an introduction to zoology written by our good Steve here. Yeah. So, but he fortunately didn't make the cut this time because I didn't want to sort of completely overload the magazine with lots of different stuff. But yes, he's got some excellent articles, which again will probably be multi-party because they are quite long and very well written. So
yeah, I've surprised myself.
Yeah, no, Steve's introduction to zoology.
His fingers have been burning away.
Yeah, but as I say, it's going to be quite an interesting. I can't wait to see the finished product.
Yeah, neither can I.
So we're going to be quite busy this week. What we're getting stuff ready for the show and the weekend and the actual magazine itself. So it's going to be quite a hectic week for us.
Absolutely.
So, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it all goes to plan and it doesn't go wrong.
Well, don't worry, we'll soon find a way of recovering if it does.
So, hopefully we will be able to get the magazine out for next week. That's what we're hoping for. That's the plan.
No pressure on me then, is there? No pressure on me, thanks.
No, there's no pressure on you, Andy Mercer.
It's almost finished now, actually. I've
Yes,
just had one article.
He's been typing away. We've been sending everything to him to put together.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I can assemble it and put it all together in a nice, orderly fashion.
Yes, and he's been transcribing interviews as well.
That's the fun bit. I must admit, it actually was really quite good transcribing the Larry Warren interview. It does round a little bit, we had to cut out, unfortunately, but yeah. When you get down to the bare bones of what he's saying, he gives us a pretty detailed report of the events both during the day and the night of his own experience.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to listen to.
Yeah, so
great guy.
But that's about it then for tonight, I suppose.
Indeed, yes.
Ghost Rider says get Mr. Felix back on.
Yeah, but what are we going to talk about? Derby Jowl? He don't even do Derby Jowl.
No, he don't do it anymore. His son's taken over now, really.
He doesn't do much anymore, Richard Felix.
I'd like to ask Mr. Felix about Elveston Castle, how his friends managed to wreck that beautiful door there, and I'm sure he knows what I'm talking about, and he would really to talk about it. Those beautifully decorated door with occult symbolism in Elveston Castle.
Yeah.
He had an event there with more than 60 people, which is ridiculously large.
Yeah.
And someone saw fit to try and carve chunks out the door.
Oh, no.
Ruined it, absolutely, yes, unfortunately. But that's another story. I know he didn't know about it at the time. He found out afterwards what had happened. He was rather embarrassed about it. It was his group that was there, but there we go.
Okay. So, as I say, that's about it for tonight. We hope you've enjoyed this evening's show. And don't forget, this is your show too. So if you want to email us at admin@ktpf.co.uk, we're always open to discuss any specific area of this genre, including ghosts, monsters, psychic phenomena, or other supernatural or unexplained mysteries. We need you to get involved.
And Ghost Rider's reminded that he's been on tour with Mr. Derek.
Oh, I know that. Not Ghost Rider. He's on about Richard Felix.
Yeah, John himself.
No wonder John's not been around.
No. Richard Felix has been on tour with Derek before. It's become a bit of the anti-Most Haunted Alliance, really, isn't it?
Yes, he has, really. So we'd like to thank you for listening, and as I said, we'd love you to join us next week as we talk about all things KTPF.
Yes, come and join the party, guys.
Yeah. And we'd like to thank you for listening to the KTPF Community Talk Show, supported by Phenomena Magazine and Beyond Parazine, and sponsored by
Craignos Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations, and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
So until next time, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from her.
And it's good night from them.
Until next time, remember to keep the paranormal friendly. Good night,
good night, everyone.
This is where it's at.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.